I'll stop dicking around with horror sounds in the night. Cassette tape. Hello and welcome to Spooky Town Tales, episode 18. Got that wrong last week. Said 16 was 17. It is I, Lady Morgana of the dark, deep realms of Spookyville. And joining me this evening is Count Jimmy Rockwell.
Good evening.
Tonight we're getting very spooky and we are talking Halloween legends, Halloween traditions, and getting in, just in general, the spirit of Halloween. My favourite, my absolute favourite. I am in an absolute state at the moment.
You're telling me.
I'm having to hoard all the decorations I'm making. I can't put them out. It's driving me insane. I don't feel like myself.
Yep. And it's showing. You're exploding at the seams with disappointment and rage in the situation.
I am. And I'm not going to lie to you. It's becoming hard to hide my
There's
disdain.
Rage and ruin.
I even found the perfect pumpkin today, which I didn't buy yet because we can't have pumpkins around the house when we're having home opens. But I found the perfect, excuse my computer noises, I found the most perfect, incredible pumpkin today, and I literally stood hugging it for about 2 minutes because I knew I couldn't have it.
The old pumpkin hugger.
The pumpkin hugger, it was perfect. It was perfectly round. It was the same width as it was the height. It was just enormous. It was perfect. And an old cranky man did like a disapproving look and grunted at me in Woolworths. And I said, "You just don't understand what I'm going through, man."
I love pumpkins.
I fucking love pumpkins. Ask anyone that knows me. I love pumpkins. I love cooking them. I love looking at them.
And Halloweenifying them.
Halloweenifying them. I would wear a jumper with pumpkins on it all year round. I have a vest with pumpkins on it.
Yeah, that's quite the best.
And I wear it when I cannot wait. Next week.
It's on.
It's on. My pumpkin Halloween vest is going on and I'm starting my Halloween candy and all that preparations.
Pumpkin party time.
Pumpkin party time. Anyway, enough about me and my weird pumpkin obsession. Let's get on with the show. Are you comfortable, folks? Have you got a garland of bats above your head? Well, you should. Have you got a cauldron full of delicious, tasty treats? Get on it. You can get fun-size chocolates at Woolworths and Big W. Half price for $2.30 a bag right now. Get in there. I got mine today.
They won't last till Halloween.
No, they won't. We always have to top up. Do you have a beverage? Is it a cider? It should be.
I should.
Pull your socks up, folks. We've only got 2 weeks to Halloween. And then over the next 2 weeks, prepare to be spooked. Now, over these next 2 weeks, I'm going to be sharing with you some spooky stories that took place at Halloween, as well as some very interesting legends that have come from this particular holidays that have survived decades, even hundreds of years, some of these legends, that still, to this day, people believe enough to be a bit scared of.
To still have the fright factor.
To still be not willing to take any chances with it.
Yep.
I'm also going to be telling you some of my little traditions that I do, and that might rub off and it might become one of your yearly things that you do, because I tell you what, it's friggin' fun.
It is.
And once you start doing it and you realise how fun it is, not only for yourself, but for your friends and for your kids, I think you'll learn to love it. Everyone I know that's been fuddy-duddy about it, that I've swindled into coming over and experiencing the Morgan Halloween, I find it is quite infectious. They start to see why we love it. And it's not an American holiday.
No.
It's Americans, as per usual, have run with it and done a bloody good... I mean, criticise them all you want. They know how to throw Halloween. They know how to celebrate it. They do a friggin' amazing job. Just look it up on YouTube. Just look up Halloween porch displays.
That hasn't been looked up in this house at all in the last 3.5 minutes.
Shut up, all right? Unbelievable, the level they go to and the stuff they make. Oh, my God. So buckle up, hang on to your butts, because I'm going to be sharing some Halloween goodies over the coming weeks.
The goodies.
The goodies. To start off, I felt it was probably necessary, even though I'm sure everyone knows what Halloween is. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a history, very quick, because I'm going to do a little bit each week. So to start off with your basic, Halloween is believed. It's an old, it's actually a Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic, Irish as well, celebration. And it's called Samhain, or Samhain, or Samhain, or whatever you call it. That's how you pronounce it. It's spelled Samhain. So that it was the end of the harvest season, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was the beginning of winter. So it was basically a big celebration, almost a superstitious celebration too, because it was obviously believed coming into winter, you wanted to have good luck, and you wanted to celebrate all the food that you've grown so that you're prepared for the winter. It was also, there was a lot of superstition, and so you had things like your jack-o'-lanterns come about, which I'll be going into a little bit more of where that came from. And it was believed that you lit a jack-o'-lantern to keep the baddies away. Basically, it's to scare off your evil spirits.
Makes sense.
So that's sort of a very, very basic overview of what Halloween was. But it was, basically, it was the end of the harvest season. It was the autumn equinox, which is always tricky here because it stays lighter longer here. Yeah. So when you're trying to celebrate Halloween, it's tricky to
have the spooky factor when
it's light outside. It's hot out. Well, it's not hot, but it's warmer outside, and we don't have all the autumn leaves, so you got to fake it. Yep. And we don't have a plethora of pumpkins either because it's not pumpkin season. Yep. But despite all that, you make it work. Yep. So it's actually our spring equinox. Yes. Summer or whatever it is. Anyway, spring equinox. We're coming into our spring, which is more of our lush season, whereas, Halloween is more about preparing for the dark and for the cold and for the spooky. So
got to work with what you got.
Got to work, but in this house it's spooky all year round.
It is.
Yes, it is. So there's your basic overview. So Halloween basically is also believed this time of year that the veil between the two worlds, it is at its thinnest. Ooh. And a lot of people I knew, and it could just be that it's in your head or you notice it more during this time of year, and even though we are not in the Northern Hemisphere and we are not going into autumn, there is something about the change of the season. Even you, Jimmy, have said with the moon, it seems different this time of year. When your seasons are changing, you get funny, intense full moons. Yep. Animals act weird, kids act weird, wives act...
All of them, all above.
Everything's affected, and this time of year I always feel a massive shift because you're coming out of your cold winter into your warm. Everything's exploding, all the flowers are blossoming.
Hay fever's out.
Hay fever is killing your wife at the moment. So it is a funny time of year, and I think that plays into the whole eerie feeling and noticing. But I won't name names, but a friend of mine this week who is not someone who believes in this stuff, she's not quick to put her hand up about it, has had very strange things happening in her house and is very shocked about it. And I just explained, it's that time of year.
Yep.
Hang on to your butts. That's my favourite saying at the moment, in case you haven't noticed. So now that we've got an idea of where Halloween came from, I'm going to now jump into some of the very strange traditions and urban legends.
Cool.
So one of the biggies that's been around for a really long time, so much so, it's caused animal shelters to prohibit cat adoptions just before Halloween.
What?
Is the belief that satanic groups sacrifice black cats on Halloween night.
Really?
Yes. So this is a rumour that's been around a long time, but it still holds true. So it's enough. It's believed enough that animal shelters won't allow adoptions like the week of Halloween.
Wow. I did not know.
Of cats. Yeah. So there you go. So I'll just read you what this says. Although it would be unwise to put anything past Satanists, this is a persistent rumour that they do live sacrifices of black cats on Halloween Eve. And yes, 100%, still people believe this enough.
Yeah, to still not sell them.
Yeah. So there's a weird legend. I don't know if there's any proof I couldn't really find many stories to back this up. But again, this is what I'm talking about, strange Halloween superstitions that have evolved through the years.
I wonder if that's changed these days. Now you have to have your cat registered.
Yeah.
All the paperwork. I don't want it anyway.
Obsidian and Raven can't get away with what they used to.
It's not the same.
You can't sacrifice Fluffy anymore. He's microchipped. I'm going to read you a little bit about the jack-o'-lantern now, before I jump into another weird urban legend. So I found this little tidbit of information from a lovely site called the Pumpkin Nook.
The Pumpkin Nook.
The Pumpkin Nook. The Pumpkin Lady found it.
Why am I not surprised that you found something like that on the internet?
So the tradition of carving a jack-o'-lantern was not developed in America.
Mm-hmm.
It started out in Ireland. So the ancient Celts used to carve turnips on All Hallows Eve and place an ember in them to ward off evil spirits.
Fair enough.
Now, a friend of mine shared an image of this week, and I'd seen drawings, but I hadn't actually seen what a carved turnip. It is terrifying.
Yeah?
Way scarier than pumpkins. So much so, I'm going to go out and get some turnips this Halloween.
Really?
They look so creepy. Look it up. Look up carved turnip. They are so creepy. Cool. Anyway, so it was turnips that they used to use.
But turnips, don't they have a full core to them? Like,
yeah, you'd have to carve.
It'd be a fair mission to do it.
It'd be a mission. Now, the Jack-o'-lantern legend goes back hundreds of years in Irish history, and many of the stories centre around a character called Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack was a miserable old drunk who took pleasure in playing tricks on just about everyone, family, friends, his mother, even the devil himself. One day, so the story goes, he tricked the devil into climbing up an apple tree. After the devil climbed up the tree, Stingy Jack hurriedly placed crosses around the trunk of the tree. Unable to touch the cross, the devil was stuck in the tree. Stingy Jack made the devil promise him to never take his soul when he died. Once the devil promised not to take his soul, Stingy Jack removed the crosses, and the devil climbed down out of the apple tree.
Oh.
Many years later, Jack died. He went to the pearly gates of heaven and was told by St. Peter that he was mean and cruel and had led a miserable, worthless life on earth. Stingy Jack was not allowed to enter heaven. He then went down to hell, and the devil kept his promise and wouldn't allow him to enter. So, now, Jack was scared. He had nowhere to go but to wander about forever in the dark netherworld between heaven and hell. He asked the devil how he could leave as there was no light. The devil tossed him an ember from the flames of hell to help Stingy Jack light his way. Jack had a turnip with him. It was one of his favourite foods, and he always carried one. He hollowed out the turnip, placed the ember the devil had given him inside the turnip. From that day onwards, Stingy Jack roamed the earth without a resting place, lighting his way as he went with his jack-o'-lantern.
Whoa.
On All Hallows Eve, the Irish hollowed out turnips, rutabagas, I don't know what that is, gourds, potatoes, and beets. They placed the light in them to ward off evil spirits and keep Stingy Jack away. These were the original jack-o'-lanterns. In the 1800s, a couple of waves of Irish immigrants came to America. The immigrants quickly discovered that pumpkins were bigger and easier to carve out, thus became the modern jack-o'-lantern.
Absolutely. Like
Can you imagine carving out a beetroot?
Beetroot?
That'd be messy.
And hard.
Really hard.
You think it's bad with like cuts on your hands. These don't like big pumpkins. Imagine trying to do a beetroot. You'd stab yourself in the hand constantly.
Yeah, but I'm really interested. I really want to try one. I'm going to try a turnip. I think I'll start with turnips. I'm going to post a picture, you folks out there listening, of my Halloween exploits on the Southwest Paranormal page, because I am going crazy and I want you to see the outcome of my turnip carving.
We'll carve anything.
We'll carve anything. We'll carve your grandma if you pay us enough. Anyway.
Old boots.
Old boots.
Lounge chairs. We'll carve anything.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, back on track. Here's another really creepy legend that's come out of Halloween. Right, so there's an image circulating, it has been forever, of a Halloween party in the 60s. And in the image is a very scary-looking character in a black mask, staring very devilishly into the camera. It was taken in 1962, and the story goes, linked to this photo, and again, I don't know how real this is and if there's any evidence, but the plot goes that the man in the black mask in the photo was at a costume party. He decided to lock all the doors in order to attempt murdering each and every guest. 7 partygoers met their end, and the man was never caught. It wasn't until 1969 that his mask was found by the FBI. Is this true?
Whoa.
Who knows? But the possibility of attending a costume party and having someone locking... See, this is something I get scared about. Locking all the doors and murdering everybody.
Yeah, that's...
Which leads me to a real story.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it happened.
It happened. So, in the US, this was I think it was the late 90s, there was this particular guy that threw a party in the town every year. He was very wealthy, wealthy parents, big house. Every Halloween went all out.
Yeah.
So he used to deck out the house with fake walls, like make proper haunted house things, plethora of drugs available, endless booze. So every year, it's just what you did. You go to this guy's place for Halloween. So he's throwing his usual Halloween party. It's kicking off. There's all kinds of debauchery going on. The party host and his close friend, who has relayed this story, went upstairs with 3 other of their friends and were having a bong in one of the rooms. They've locked the door just for privacy and because it was a nightmare and they obviously wanted some space. And downstairs they heard 2 loud gunshots and then screaming. And so they quickly quietened down to listen, then heard more screaming, and then a loud voice basically saying, "Shut up, keep it down," and screaming at them. Then another squeal, and then another shot, bang, and silence.
Whoa.
And so they're like, okay, what the fuck? Then the music got turned down, and like, this is wrong, something's going on. So all of them hid in the room. They've realised someone's broken in, something's going on. So while they're hiding, they hear footsteps coming up the stairs. 3 sets of heavy boot footsteps.
Yeah.
Then they hear rattling at the door. and then they hear someone throwing themselves at the door. And then they hear 3 gunshots shooting out the lock on the door. They know there's someone in there.
Yeah.
So they come in. All of them are shitting themselves, obviously. And in the end, the host gives himself up, comes out, and says, "What the fuck?" Like, what's happened? Obviously feeling very guilty that something's going on. He doesn't know what he's going to see.
Yeah.
So he goes downstairs with the guys to show them where the money is. So basically these 3 guys had broken in.
Yep.
They were all in fedora hats and V from Vendetta. The mask with the moustache. All had the same mask.
Yeah.
And as he went down the stairs with them, he saw 2 of his friends dead.
What?
They'd shot a girl and a boy. So 2 of the party guests had already been killed. The rest were all terrified and huddled in the corner. They ended up taking all of his valuables. All the party guests had to give all their money and wallets and everything that they had, and then they left.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's a good way to wreck a party.
Yep. And the guy who hosted the party was so riddled with guilt, he fell into deep depression and died of a heroin overdose the following year.
Jeez Louise.
Because he couldn't live with himself.
Yeah, understandably.
So it happened.
Holy smack. That's ridiculous.
And because it's a party, this is the thing. The door's open.
Yeah.
3 guys coming in costumes. You don't know if they're baddies.
Exactly.
You let them in. Could be your mates.
That's crazy.
So this is a very scary thing that could happen at Halloween. Well, mainly in America, we have stricter gun laws here, so...
But it's just, like you say, it is such a thing where you want to hope that sort of thing wouldn't happen, and you can trust people enough to not put anyone in that situation.
And from growing up, we had Halloween parties, and you'd have people rock up, like your mum and dad's friends, and you don't recognise them when they're in costume.
No.
They could be anybody.
Yep.
So anyone could be just wandering into your house. And we had gate crashes a few times at our parties. We had to have security for 1 year because it was the Girraween High year. So we had Uncle Marty and Dad. And we did have a bunch of gang members rock up.
Yeah.
That was a bit scary because it was Girraween.
Yeah.
Well, we were in Marangaroo, but most of the kids at the party were Girraween High kids.
Yeah.
So they had... every time there was a big party, there'd be the risk of...
something.
Because word would spread.
Yeah.
But it is something that's quite frightening about, grown-up Halloween parties because you can't really tell who people are, especially if they're wearing masks.
Exactly.
Yep. So be wary if you're throwing a Halloween party.
Of course.
Tell them to take their masks off before entering your house. Find out who they are before you let them into your safety zone.
Yeah.
Now that's one other thing that really freaks me out about, the gory decorations.
Yeah.
I'm not a gory girl.
I
don't like horror. I like spooky and scary, but I'm not down with the gore and...
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel awful. And that's what scares me big time, to the max. What if you're somewhere and, people are stuffing around with a fake knife...
Oh, yeah.
And someone's screaming. And what if they're actually being attacked and everyone's just laughing, thinking it's part of the...
Exactly.
That's what freaks me out.
Oh, yeah. And everyone has that worry. It is an underlying thing. But, yeah, again, you've got to trust people, and that's not easy.
No. And I absolutely love Halloween, but I'm of the old-fashioned...
Oh, yeah.
I think nowadays it's gone too far.
Yeah.
When you go into shops, I have to turn Clara away because there's, hands and feet with blood all over them. It's just gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe I'm a big sook, but not down with the guts and the blood. No, thank you. So here's another cool legend. The Halloween. Well, it's a spooky, ghosty, but also it's sort of... This is where Bloody Mary and that... I'll read you the Bloody Mary legend after this story, but this is where it came from.
Okay.
At the height of the Klondike Gold Rush, a woman named Mary moved into the Golden North Hotel in Skagway with her fiancé, a prospector known as Klondike Ike. Before their marriage, Ike set off for the gold fields to make his fortune, but Ike never returned. Mary locked herself in their room and waited, her anxious anticipation for Ike's arrival turning into dread and despair. The innkeepers eventually broke down the door to find Mary dead in her wedding dress. Guests at the Golden North Hotel report that Scary Mary still roams the halls, appearing over their beds in the night to check that Ike isn't sleeping with anyone else.
Ooh.
Imagine waking up and
Yeah, that'd
seeing
be scary.
a ghost in a wedding dress hovering above you, just checking. You're not sleeping with my husband, are you? Talk about a jealous woman. Now, as for Bloody Mary, this is all tied in with mirrors. Mirrors are quite essential during All Hallows Eve. How else do you perfect your freaky clown makeup? According to one popular Halloween urban legend, you should be careful while gazing into your looking glass. If you repeat the words Bloody Mary a set number of times while staring at your reflection, most of the time I think it's 3 or 4. Or is it 7? I don't know.
It's 3 in Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Don't do it.
I want Beetlejuice to come. He's a hoot. So apparently if you say it however many times, an evil woman will appear on the other side and drag you through the mirror.
Oh.
And no, this is a stupid legend. This is a stupid legend, but so many people believe it.
And there's people get weird about weird things.
Yeah. I mean, there is an old divination theory that if you were to stare into a mirror with a candle for long enough, you'll see into the other side.
Yeah.
Some people talk to spirits that way, people with supposed abilities.
Yeah.
It is creepy. Look at your face long enough in candlelight, it does start to look funny. But that, again, it's to do with depleted light and your eyes playing tricks on you. And I'm ruining the spookiness of it. Ew. I have another really good story now. This one made me this is more like the kind of story that gets me. I don't scare easily.
No, you don't.
But this is the sort of thing that I was like, because
That's what that noise
I'm
was.
a rational person. I'm a rational person. So this took place at Halloween. Again, this was an American story. Send me some of your stories, folks. I'm sick of having to read overseas ones. We need some local ones.
Yeah, they'll rock up.
They'll rock up. Come on. Pull your
some
socks up.
effort in.
Anything weird ever happened to you at Halloween? I want to hear about it. So anyway, this story took place in America. Halloween. Young man had just bought his house. His parents had paid for half. Lucky.
Nice.
That happens apparently.
Winning.
So he's in his first home, and it's his first Halloween in his new house, and it's that time of night. Trick-or-treaters have been coming, but it's getting on. It's about the time where they start to stop knocking on the damn door.
Uh-huh.
He's sitting down, watching some movies, having some lollies, enjoying his... it sounded pretty dreamy, actually. Just a quiet night in, watching movies, eating lollies.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Sounds like a good Halloween. I think we'll have to try it one time. So he's just, enjoying the night, and then hears a knock at the door, and it's about 11 o'clock by this time.
Mm-hmm.
So he ignores it. He's like, no, it's too late.
No more.
It's too late for trick-or-treaters. Then the knock gets heavier, and then it gets heavier. And then it turns into full-blown pounding. So he gets pretty pissed off. He's like, I'm going to go tell these kids off.
Yeah.
Goes outside, opens the door. No one's there. He's like, ugh, the ding-dong ditching me.
Yeah.
First thing he thinks. And he's like, just fuck off, shouts out.
As you would.
Goes back inside, shuts the door, sits back down, knocking starts again. He's like, ugh, mother lecker. So he gets back up. Goes out again, checks all down the front, down the side, can't see anybody. He's just like, oh, fucking kids.
Yeah.
So he thought, I could call the cops, but if I call the cops, they're going to egg the house.
Yeah.
and it's his new house. Now, if anyone's had to clean dried egg off anything,
Overrated.
it's fucking awful. So I can see his, rationale there. It's like, it's just dumb kids.
Yep.
So he decides he's going to go in and just ignore, because he knows they're not going to stop. So he's like, right, bugger it, I'll just go inside.
They'll get sick of it.
They'll get sick of it. I'll just go, whatever. Goes inside, keeps going. He's like, well, stuff it, I'm just going to go to bed. So he goes through to his room, and the knocking continues, but then he falls asleep because he's ignored it completely. So he's out for the count, but then he wakes up to the sound of knocking again and looks at his clock, and he's like, what the fuck, it's 2 a.m, they're still knocking.
Yeah.
As he starts to come to, he realises the knocking isn't coming from the front door. It's coming from his bedroom door.
Ooh.
So, naturally, he sits up, freaking terrified.
Yeah.
What the hell? This isn't kids ding-dong ditching.
Yeah.
This is intruders. They're in my house. They're literally outside. They've got through the front door somehow.
Yeah.
Now they're knocking on my fucking bedroom door. Thank Christ he'd locked it. So, gotta commend this guy. Thinks quick, plugs his speaker into his computer, searches up the sound of a shot, a gun,
Yeah.
cranks it to full volume, presses play, gunshot noise goes off, and he shouts, "That was a warning shot. If you don't get the fuck out of my house, I'm going to put a bullet in your head." To which he hears 2 sets of footsteps swiftly run out the front door and out of his house.
Whoa.
So he gathers himself, gets brave enough to open the door, run to the front door, shut it and lock it, and then he calls the cops.
Whoa. Holy smokes, man. That's pretty persistent to go for 4 hours
4 hours.
and then decide to go into the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what freaked him out was there was nothing stolen. There was nothing broken.
That'd be freaky as hell.
How terrifying is that?
Too much, man.
Yep. Sleep well, my children. See, they're the ones that get me.
Yeah.
The ghost ones, not so much. But those ones,
Yeah.
crazy people ones,
Yeah. Not cool.
not cool. I'll tell you a quick story about a weird thing we had happen with a crazy person in this house.
Which one?
Jimmy,
We've had a lot
of crazy people. We still do. So we'd been living here about 1.5 years, and one night we woke up at about 11
Sorry, I think I just...
to the strangest noise. Like, it was banging and just this. It was definitely not an animal. It was too big to be an animal. So I'm like, Jimmy, wake up! Can you hear that? And so he's like, what? I'm like, listen. He goes, oh, it's probably just an animal. I said, no, listen. And then for Jimmy to actually acknowledge it was something is a big deal. So he's like, oh shit, what's that? So I looked out.
Oh, make out like I don't exist at night time.
You're out. Once Jimmy's asleep, he's out. So I think I went to the window first and went, holy crap, there's a man out there. And then Jimmy goes to the window and sees this guy, this very large,
He was a big boy.
trying to climb over our fence
Yes.
and not succeeding.
Clearly reasonably inebriated.
He was so drunk.
He was wrecked.
So Jimmy goes out the front. I still remember this because it was funny. Like, you laugh now, but at the time it was very, very scary.
No, it wasn't.
But it was the way. So Jimmy goes out there. The noise was awful, and so Jimmy goes out the front, stands in this front veranda, which it didn't even have a solid door. It had a sliding door with a little hook, so anyone could just slide it open, including the neighbours' kids, which did. So anyone could just come in.
Yeah.
So Jimmy goes out the front, and he's like, "You right there, mate?" And this guy just stops like a zombie, like half falls off our fence, stops staring at his feet, and then kind of just turns his whole body to face Jimmy without looking up, And what did he say?
It's something like, is this Kyle's house or something like
This is
that?
Carl's house. And Jimmy's like, no, mate, you got the wrong house. And then he didn't walk off. He stumbles to the front door with his head down, with his arms out, like on his sides, palms facing forward,
Yeah.
and then lifts his head and just dead stares at Jimmy. Like, I can still see him. I can still see his face.
Yeah.
Just dead stares at Jimmy for what felt like 5 minutes. Probably was only about 30 seconds.
If that.
Saying nothing. Just standing there, staring at him.
Yeah.
Through the
He'd probably
mesh.
gone to space.
He was gone. He looked honestly like a zombie. And I'm just standing there going, holy shit. What is this guy doing?
Yeah.
And then we kind of went inside and just watched him through the window. We're like, okay. And then you're like, yeah, go on. Off you go, mate. And then we went inside and just watched him stumble
Yeah.
up the road. And I don't know what happened to him, but...
It was a good effort for being as erect as he was.
But
to
why
get
was
on
he
the
trying to climb the fence?
Because it was his mate's house.
If it was his mate's house, knock on the fucking door. Trying to climb our fence. What the hell?
Yeah, it was funny.
It was funny. It was funny, but it was friggin' weird. It's not nice. Not a nice thing to wake up to.
Yeah, it
in the
was
middle of the night.
interesting. But
It was
there was
very
a big game on that night, though. Remember, the footy club was pretty intense. So,
Jesus.
just some spillage from that.
Probably. Has anything weird happened to you in the evenings or around Halloween time? Halloween time is a weird time. You get all kinds of weirdos coming knocking on your door. And in our town, it's not really a big thing. It's getting bigger.
Yeah.
But we do get our trick-or-treaters. And probably the best year, we had a boy come back. I think it was 4 times. And each time he just put like a different item of clothing on his head. It's like, they're not going to notice.
Yeah.
It's like a beanie one time. Then it was a cap. And then I think he put a sock on his head. I don't know. It was some weird thing on his head.
Yeah.
And then the last time he had no accessory. And I was like, look,
Well done.
I know you've been back here 4 times. I know we've got the best lollies in town.
Yeah.
But I was just like, you know what? I'm not even cross. I'm actually quite impressed with your... with your...
But shoo.
Yeah, but off you go. 4 is enough. You've cleaned me out, Sonny.
Yeah.
Speaking of trick-or-treaters, another very, very long-lasting, profound legend that exists at Halloween time is the whole fear of poison candy. Did you... Oh, you didn't grow up with
No, I
Halloween, so you
didn't.
wouldn't know this.
No.
I remember being terrified.
I remember knowing of Halloween and understanding what it was about, and even then knowing that there was a fear of poison candy.
So, this urban legend, pretty much all over the world, pretty much every single town that celebrates Halloween,
Yeah.
there's this idea that someone in your town is a sadist who's poisoning the Halloween candy and giving it out to kids.
Again, proof you just can't trust people.
Yeah, but did it happen? I don't know.
I don't know.
So, there has been one case of someone deliberately poisoning Halloween candy. But it wasn't to random children. It was Ronald O'Brien of Texas who intentionally spiked his son's pixie sticks with cyanide, hoping to collect a huge insurance payout. He also gave the candy to 3 other children, hoping to cover his tracks, but apparently none of them liked pixie sticks, so none of them indulged. O'Brien's son, though, died from the poisoning. O'Brien received the death penalty via lethal injection, so he bloody should. What an asshole! What an
His
asshole!
own kid. Mm-hmm. Wow.
What a bastard.
Yeah. You can see why those ones get topped.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap up for tonight, there was, a few years ago, I can remember reading about this town, and some of the stories I read, I just thought, people are such bastards. But then again, it is Halloween, and there's the whole trick or treat.
Yeah.
If you want to indulge a little, I'll track down a few for next week.
Yeah.
But there have been some very nasty pranks played on town kids by older residents.
Yeah.
Have done some very mean things.
Yeah.
And one of the ones I can recall was some older gentlemen luring younger children
Yeah.
and pretending they were going to murder them. No, they weren't actually going to murder them.
Yeah.
But basically like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind
Enough
of thing.
to scare the absolute
Locking them in a
bejesus out
thing,
of
chainsaws, chasing them. They weren't ever going to actually hurt them, but it's enough to, yeah.
them. It's enough to scare
Yeah. So, have you ever had a town jerk who plays mean pranks?
Yeah.
If you have any stories like this, send them to me over the next few weeks for our Halloween specials.
you. Yeah.
I'm going to be bringing you some pretty cool ones. I'm on the hunt and I'm digging up some pretty good ones.
Cool.
So send them on in and I shall share with you what I find in my travels.
Awesome.
Thanks again for listening, guys. And please check back next week for more Halloween goodness. And I might even share a recipe or two.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
The time of incredible baking.
yeah, I go a bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But why the hell not? Life's for celebrating, eh? Any excuse to indulge.
Yeah.
So thanks again. Be sure to like and share the show with those that you think at this time of year in particular might like a spooky tale or two. And this has been Morgan
And Jimmy.
for Spooky Town Tales. Remember to stay creepy. Where are you? Jimmy didn't do it. Stay creepy. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.